Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first devlog for a game that I've been working on, Frog Island. This is my very first time creating a devlog, so I'm not really sure how it's supposed to work, but I decided to create this series to help make sure that I stay consistent and motivated while working on this project. In this video, I'll be talking a bit about myself, what the game I'm working on is, the progress I've currently got, and future plans for the project moving on. If you'd like to skip to the part where I actually showcase my progress, I've left some timestamps in the description of the video. So, a little bit about myself. Over the past few years, I've tried out a few game engines, most notably Game Maker Studio 2 and RPG Maker MV, where I created a few little prototypes for fun. I made a small pixel platformer, almost went insane trying to make an RPG, and even tried to make a Zelda-like action game. However, the problem was that I relied way too heavily on online tutorials and pre-made assets, which is why these games were never finished, as I either hit a roadblock with the code or lost motivation with all the placeholder assets I had. That's when I discovered Godot, a game engine praised for its easy-to-use node system and intuitive UI creation. So, with a new idea in mind, I decided to give it a try, but this time not rely heavily on other people's assets or code to develop a game. I'm definitely not a professional game developer at all, but it's always been a dream of mine to create and release an indie game. Of course, I'd be ecstatic to hopefully make some sort of tangible profit from this project, as I'd love to one day be a full-time game developer. So, the game I've been working on is called Frog Island, and I'm planning on releasing it as primarily a mobile game on the App Store and Google Play, as well as a PC version for Steam. It's a fully hand-drawn frog collection and farming game where players can take care of magical frogs, grow crops, and decorate and explore their own island. I wanted Frog Island to be a relaxing game that everyone could enjoy to escape from the stress and anxieties of their busy everyday lives. I've always loved playing cute and cozy games that immerse the player in the environment, and as a result of the COVID quarantines, I've sunk hundreds of hours into games like Neko Atsume, Animal Crossing, and Stardew Valley, the main inspirations of Frog Island. The idea behind the game is pretty simple. Trapped on a deserted island, you, the player, are greeted by a mysterious woman who asks you to take care of her frogs while she is away. I'm planning on adding lots of unique features to make Frog Island feel cohesive and interactive for players. I don't have enough time to properly explain every single gameplay feature in this devlog, as I want to keep it relatively short. But just know that I've already got all the ideas planned out and ready to go. A few features that I plan on adding to the game are, but definitely not limited to, a real-time day and night cycle, weather and seasonal events, a farming system, a cooking system, a cookbook, a potion brewing system, a fishing system, a camera system, a frog compendium and photo album, a friends system, special events, achievements, a story, and lots more. If you'd like to know more about the gameplay features of Frog Island, I've linked the official website in the description below that really goes into detail on everything about the game. So, now that I've promised all these huge features, how is the game looking like so far, and what have I been up to for the past month? Well, I began development on this game on December 25th, 2022, and it's been roughly 1 month since I started the project, but believe it or not, I've actually made a decent amount of progress. Currently, I'm creating this game using the game engine Godot and Krita, a free and easy to use drawing software for all the art. I'm also fairly new to digital drawing, so I might redraw a few assets in the future once I've gotten more practice. So this right here is the current version for the main farm that players will have access to. I've drawn a few different types of trees, bushes, and stones just to add to the environment of Frog Island. Drawing buildings and objects in an isometric perspective was pretty challenging, and I had to redraw this farmhouse a few times until I was satisfied. I also wanted to find a unique art style that would make Frog Island stand out from other games, so I experimented with a few brush styles and overlay effects to create a hand-drawn papery effect. For the motion on the trees, all I did was apply a cool wind shader I found online to bring it to life, and animated a few things as well to give it a scribbly feel. I also decided to create some falling leaf particles on each tree to add more detail to the game, and I think it looks quite nice. For the water, I found a 2D water shader from godotshaders.com and overlaid it with some gradients. I'm not sure if the water fits with the style I've got, so I may end up changing it in the future. The first thing I created was a real-time day and night system. It features a clock that's synchronized to the player's PC, and the lighting actually changes based on what time it is, which I think adds a lot to the overall experience for the game. This is what the farm looks like at sunrise, in the morning, at noon, in the evening, and at night. The way I coded this was actually pretty simple. I started with a canvas modulate node with a custom gradient node attached. By using a built-in function called os.getTime, I was able to update the player's PC clock time in the process function and convert it to a value between 0 and 2400. I could then divide this value by 2400 to calculate a percentage of how much the day has passed and interpolate the gradient color based on this percentage. The next thing I created was a menu UI for the different gameplay elements I wanted to add. I drew a camera, inventory, book, map, and settings icon, but currently only the map works. Godot actually has this incredibly useful feature called texture buttons with built-in functions for when you hover and click on it, which is how I was able to easily make this hover animation. I also tried to animate a map opening and closing, and although it looks a bit clunky, I think it works for the time being. Finally, the last main feature I created was a farming system that I'm quite proud of. Currently, I've drawn 15 different types of crops that consist of various veggies and fruits, like berries, corn, tomatoes, and more. I used a really unintuitive way to make the crops grow, by drawing the sprite sheets for each crop on a single canvas. And yeah, I know there's softwares like Asprite that specifically allow for sprite sheets, but it was kind of too late before I realized that, so I'll keep using Krita. So the way the farming system works is players can buy seeds from a shop, which will appear in their seed inventory. Players can then switch between a watering can and seeds to click on a dirt tile, which will either water the tile or plant a seed. I also added some small particle effects when planting, watering, and harvesting the crops, and I think it really makes the player's interactions more impactful. Whenever a player clicks on a tile, the code needs to run lots of logic statements to determine what to do next, such as if there's a plant on the tile or not. I also added a coin currency system that I'm still testing out, but I was able to create a cool animation to lerp the value of the coins from one value to another, and I think it looks so much nicer than a static change. So yeah, that was a very rough explanation of how Frog Island is going to work. I don't really know how to do devlogs, but I hope you found this video to be informative and not too confusing. For the next devlog, I'm planning on maybe implementing the camera system and photo album, but we'll see where things go. You're probably also wondering when this game is going to release, and of course, in standard delusional game dev fashion, I will give an extremely inaccurate date of when I'd like to release it. 2024. I read somewhere once that whatever release date game developers promise, it almost always ends up being double the amount. But who knows, maybe the development process will go smoothly. Anyways, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any thoughts, criticisms, things you liked or disliked that you'd like to mention, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear all the feedback. If you'd like to stay updated on my progress with Frog Island, feel free to subscribe or check out Frog Island's other social media accounts, where updates will be posted regularly. Additionally, if you'd like to know more about the game itself, please feel free to visit the Scuffed website that I created, linked in the description below. Thanks again, and stay tuned for the second devlog coming very soon.